my name is Michelle Beyer, your host of Addiction, Voices of Hope, heard here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. Addiction, Voices of Hope is presented by this month's sponsor, the Phoenix Recovery Support Services. If you'd like to be a sponsor, please go to my website and email me, addictionvoicesofhope.com. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, Addiction, Voices of Hope. My special guest today is Lynda Whitt. How are you?
Fantastic.
You look fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen you happier.
Thank you. I don't believe I've ever been happier. Every day I say I love my life, and I mean it.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. Have you always loved your life?
No, absolutely not. There was a time that wasn't so great.
So let's go back to that time and tell me, what was your life like a few years ago, or when the time wasn't good, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there was a time in my life that was so dark, and I was in such despair. I truly believed that there was no way out. I just couldn't even imagine living my life as unhappy, and because I had been successful at one time, and
Successful in your career, or?
Very successful in my career.
What did you do?
I was actually an executive at O'Neill's, which is Macy's today,
Oh.
credit office manager.
Okay.
And when I had left that, I actually went on to work at SRCCC, which is Stark Regional Community Correction Center. Was a supervisor there on day shift, met with different judges and people that would come through, and basically tried to sell our services to
Okay.
them so that they would bring more people in for us to be rehabilitated.
Okay. What was your drug of choice?
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Absolutely.
Okay. And when did you lose all that? Take us back a little bit.
Well, it's progressive. I never took my first drink till I was 28 years old.
Okay.
By the time I was 38, I began to see some consequences, but they were only within my personal life. By the
Okay.
time I was 48, I truly believed I would never see my 50th birthday. Was drinking around the clock. Was pretty much unemployable. My daughter was fairly, for the most part, raised up by her dad. She was in my way, and I'm sad to say that, but it's the truth. Thank
is.
God I'm divorced, but wonderful father. He was a wonderful dad, and he picked up where I didn't fill the bill.
That happens a lot.
Sure.
My ex-husband did the same thing. So,
Very grateful for him.
how old was your daughter when this started happening?
She was 5 when I took my first drink.
She was 5.
So she grew up and watched me drinking. She, at one point, also, I drank with her. As a teenager, I wanted to be more her friend than her mom.
How'd that work out for you?
Not very well at all. Actually, the roles reversed, and she became more of the mom in our family. She was more responsible than I was as time went on. It's very true, very sad.
That does happen.
Yes.
That happens a lot. Take us to your darkest day.
Oh, my darkest day would probably be around this time 4 years ago. This time of year, actually. I was at a friend's house, and I wanted to get drunk, and I wanted to get high, and I couldn't. I had been in and out of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous for many years, 10 years at that time. Never really wanted to quit, but just wanted to control things, and that wasn't working for me.
It usually
Didn't work out well at all. And so there I am sitting in my apartment, and I just picture myself. I feel like I have my hands on the gates of hell, and I'm scared, and I wish it would just end, but I'm not suicidal by any means. I just don't. I'm miserable. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I have
What were you
guilt.
embarrassed and ashamed of?
All the things, because my life was not what it had been at one time.
Okay.
The demise of it, and the mom guilt for my daughter who was growing up, and I even had grandchildren at this time, and I wasn't even really allowed to see them unless I was supervised by my brother, and so it just was all bad for me. It was just so dark and so sad. Felt like I was in quicksand, couldn't get out, trying to climb out, and then everything just keeps coming in. Doing things literally that are way beyond any morals and values that I was taught by my grandparents
Like
who
what?
raised me. not per se prostituting on the street,
Mm-hmm.
but doing things with men or anyone else that I could get their attention in order to get my drink. You know, saying, you know, that I would, well, I'm stealing, for
Mhm.
one thing. I am spending nights with people that I would never spend the night with.
Right.
Waking up like, who are you? You
Mm-hmm.
know, just doing the things that, it was all about me. I was self-centered and I was selfish and I didn't care who I hurt because I actually was involved with some very wonderful people. However, it was all about me. It was all about me.
It
and
always
that
is.
Drink, yeah. And if you look like you might have had a little bit of money or I could manipulate you in any way, that's what I was going to do.
That's
Not
interesting.
the way I was raised by any means.
And it's funny because I do remember at one point when I was in house, I always looked badly upon people that would prostitute their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a counselor say to me, Michelle, did men ever pay for your drinks? And I'm like, yeah, sure, all the time. Well, did you ever go home with any of them? Well, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. That made me no different than them. Is that how you felt?
That's exactly how I felt. When I really looked at the big picture, I thought, I am no different than them.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of looked down on people that were homeless, like, how could that happen? Well, let me tell you, I was sleeping on my brother's couch and stealing his change that he'd leave laying around
Mm-hmm.
so that I could grab a 40 ounce.
What? Oh, like a beer. Okay,
Yes,
40 ounce.
a 40 ounce of beer, yes. You know, so I was homeless too. I was. So I really was all the things that I said I'd never be.
And that usually does happen in addiction.
Yes.
Did you do anything other than alcohol? Were you into any kind of drugs or anything?
I smoked crack cocaine.
You did?
I
Okay.
surely did, yeah. And I'll tell you why I did that is because I wanted to continue to drink. I was falling out drunk once and somebody said, hey, try this. And never smoked a cigarette in my life.
Oh,
But, so
okay.
I jumped right on that bandwagon and so that I could drink more.
Okay.
That was the kick I needed.
And how did that make you feel? Do you remember?
Not so good. It was very expensive.
Okay.
So not only does my disease progress, now I'm getting into things that cost more money, and it's just not working out well. Again, you know, I'm stealing from some of those men or women, even that I was with.
Okay.
Just doing all the things that went against everything that was within me, so therefore created a vicious cycle of, let me keep doing this so I don't have to think about what I'm doing, and if I have to think about it, then I'll do more, and I just couldn't get better. I couldn't get better. The cycle was vicious, and it was like, drink, feel better, have remorse and guilt, drink, feel better, feel worse,
Yeah.
feel better, feel worse, feel better.
And that's what a
Terrible.
lot of people don't understand is that drinking is a depressant.
Oh.
So if you're drinking to get rid of, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Trust
Yeah,
me.
Not at all.
Trust Lynda. We both know.
Trust me that I tried it again and again and again and again. I
What
always
made
thought it
you
would-
keep going back again and again and again?
You know what? Because of my I have a disease that tells me it's not a disease.
Mm-hmm.
And my disease sits on my shoulder and speaks like imagine my hand saying, hey, like I'm a puppet. It says, that won't happen again. It'll be different this time. We'll control things.
Can you control it?
No, absolutely not.
You mean you can't just have one or two drinks and then go home?
No.
No? How many
No.
do you have to have?
Well, I can't. I have to have none today.
Oh, I know, but...
But
yeah.
I would, one was too many, and
Mhm.
1,000 would have never been enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have an allergy.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that today. And sometimes I think, well, if somebody would have told me that long ago, maybe I could have been able to actually stop drinking. That's not true.
No, it's
I
not.
couldn't hear them because I was there in Alcoholics Anonymous in the beginning to control my drinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's no controlling it.
There is no
I have to
control.
stop. Yeah, so I never, ever.
Explain your
Yeah.
allergy.
My allergy, what happens is, say you're allergic to strawberries, you eat them, you break out in a rash.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably don't eat strawberries again. Me, I drink alcohol, and my allergy manifests itself in a craving for more. Therefore, the more I drink, the thirstier I am, and I
Interesting.
cannot stop until I'm out of my money, out of your money, out of resources, or passed out, in jail.
Have you been in jail?
I have been in jail.
Tell us
Yes.
about that.
Well, that was embarrassing.
Mhm.
I went to jail for the very first time ever on Mother's Day.
Yeah, wow.
And that that was very devastating, and most people that do not have the allergy or the disease that I have, that would have been enough for them. And,
Right.
But again, my disease said that won't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
That won't happen again. Well, it did, and it happened many, many times after that. I always went immediately to the bad girls part because I am
Explain bad girl part.
there are different sections in the jails, and there are sections where, you know, everyone can be together and not really have any, some minimal supervision. I had to have maximum supervision because
You?
yes.
No, I just don't see that. Tell us what you would
No
do
one
to be in
ever-
the bad girl section, because I can't picture you
No
doing
one ever
that.
believes me that.
No.
Well,
Well, you know what? Hold that thought. When we come back from break, we're going to find out what makes Lynda a bad girl, because I can't see it at all. If you have a question for Lynda, please give us a call at 330-492-6881. Don't forget, if you need help, please go to my website, www.addictionvoicesofhope.com. My name is Michelle Beyer. We'll be back in a moment. Back to Addiction Voices of Hope. I am your host, Michelle Beyer, here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. I am here with Lynda Whitt, and she is in recovery. And if you have a question for Lynda, please give us a call at 330-492-6881. Lynda, we never asked you, how long are you sober for right now?
at this point, 3.5 years. Well, come August, if I'm lucky enough to make it these next few months, I will have 4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
And is this your first time getting sober?
No, it's actually not. It's my first time with this longevity, and it's my first time with any real quality sobriety.
Tell us about your relapses. How long were you sober, then you'd relapse? Tell us about that.
I would, the most I could ever do was 5 months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized today that is because I was not following suggestions, all of them. I was doing what we refer to as half measures. I would do some of the things that weren't as difficult, some of the things that seemed a little easier.
Pick and choose.
I would pick and choose what I wanted to do.
Because, we know best, and it's all about us anyway.
I do, and that's exactly my mindset. It wasn't until I could change my thinking that things were going to change for me.
That stinking thinking.
It was that, and being completely surrendered.
So when you relapsed,
When I would relapse,
what would you go through? What would you do?
I would fight it for some time. Even though I maybe have had 5 months at that time, I wouldn't call my sponsor and say, I'm thinking about drinking. I would think that I could just have a couple, because again, my disease would tell me that. I would sneak at home. I would, being on my brother's couch, I would hide beer cans around his place, because he would go to work, and I would steal his change and run out and grab some beer. And then I would come home, or I would end up in a bar, because now I have liquid courage, and I could go to the bar and I could talk to that fine gentleman. That probably wasn't so fine.
Probably not.
Looked fine to me through my drunk eyes.
Yes, those goggles that we wear when we're drinking are.
So it was difficult though. Every time I would be disappointed in myself, and then I would think, I often thought of my child too. What am I doing? Here I go again. She's never going to believe that I really want to be the mom. Because I can remember when she was little, she would cry and say, I just want my mom back. And I would cry and say, I want your mom back too. I just don't know how to get her. And I really didn't.
So how did you get sober? What changed? What did you do?
This is, of all the places for me to be, here on a Christian radio station, to tell you of my spiritual experience that I really had that got me sober is a miracle in itself.
Tell us about it.
I was at a friend's house, and again, we were supposed to change people, places, and things. That's one of the suggestions that I wasn't to follow. I'm like, no, this has been my friend 20 years. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go to her house, and we're going to have dinner like we used to many years ago. That never happened, and I knew it wouldn't happen, but I wanted to believe it would. Never happened. We always ordered from the drug dealer.
Okay.
And,
oh, nice.
After I brought beer that I had either stolen or scrounged up some change for. And things just never worked out. However, this 4 years ago, this weekend, was there at that house, and I had made friends in AA, and I was supposed to be at the Founders Day celebration, and I didn't go, and people were like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm sick," and I really was sick. I was sick and suffering. I was drunk, and I was trying to get high. And my friend, had lost a great grandson. He was born, and he only lived 2 days, and she was mourning his death, and I was there, cheer her up, and we'll do this, and we'll get better. And she said to me, "You're changing." And I had been changing that year a lot. I had went to the Impact program at Timken Mercy Hospital for the second time.
Okay.
And that's to help me get for some discovery and recovery. And anyway, this baby had passed away, and his obituary is on the table. And I turn it over and I look at him, and in this picture, he looks like a very old man to me. And now I think I'm going crazy because I turn his picture over quickly, because that picture said to me, "You keep coming here, surely you're going to die." I only came for 2 days, Lynda. I came to tell you, you're going to die if you keep coming here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I am drunk, maybe I am high. But I had heard this before in my head, but never from this baby. So I turn the picture over, I don't want to look at it, and I'm done. I gotta go, because I feel crazy, and I'm scared. Being a good alcoholic, I'd never left my beer behind. And I'm at the door. I mean, I got up that fast. I'm at the door. I'm out. She says to me, "Don't you want to get your beer?" No, I don't. And I turned back and I said to her, "By the way, what did they name the baby?" And she said, "Isaiah." And I'm like, means nothing to me. Nice name. I said, nice name. And I'm out the door. And I can tell you to this day, I've never returned to that home. I'd like to tell you I stayed sober that day. I did not. I had one more time in August that I truly don't remember.
Really?
And I'll get back to that if we have time. Anyway, I left, and I was at work 2 weeks later, and I'm literally working, and I'm crying out to God, and I have my hands in the air, and I am like, "God, please help me," because I'm starting to feel feelings, and I don't know what's going on, and I want to be sober. And I look down and I'm wiping my face off, and I look down, and I'm a housekeeper, and by the bed skirt, at the toe of my shoe, was this coin. As I show you right here, I carry this with me. And being an alcoholic, I said to myself, "Oh, what's that? That might be worth something."
Right.
However, it was worth more than I could have ever imagined. It truly was a sign from God, I believe. And what it is, you look at it and there's eagle on there.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I flip it over, and it says, "Those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength and mount up with wings as eagles." Isaiah.
Oh no.
40:31. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
I have chills.
I know, I do too.
And that was the beginning. I truly believe it with all my heart that God sent baby Isaiah.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I'm gonna cry too.
yeah, we're gonna get some tissues. We have to take a break. If you have a question for Lynda, please call us at 330-492-6881. If you're looking to be in recovery, or you have a relative that you would like to get help for, please go to my website, addictionvoicesofhope.com. Everything you could possibly need for help is on that website. If you're having trouble, just email me. I will help you get through it all. We'll be right back after these messages. I'm Michelle Beyer here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. Welcome back to Addiction Voices of Hope. I am your host, Michelle Beyer, here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. When we left, we were talking to Lynda Whitt, who's been in recovery for over 3 years. And she was talking about her experience that got her sober. Let's continue with that so we can both continue to wipe our eyes.
Well, I'll tell you, I believe with all my heart that God sent baby Isaiah to save my life, because God had a different plan for me. I have had numerous, as I call Isaiah shots, since then. It wasn't even 30 days later. I was in Coshocton with a friend, and told her of those experiences. And the next morning, she called me and told me how she was reading some stuff, and the Isaiah card came up. right away. She said, so she was walking with this deck of cards, and it flew out of the deck so forcefully that she said, alrighty then, and she went over and picked it up, and it was the Isaiah card the very next morning after I'd shared these experiences with her. And she called me, and we were just amazed. She said, that's for you, and they talked about how your life will change in the next year.
Wow.
And it's just changed and changed and changed and changed. And
don't you wish everyone could feel that type of an experience?
I wish I could bottle it up and give it to people.
Because it's surreal.
It's unbelievable. I didn't even know, I had no idea what was truly happening. I'm so glad that I surrendered and went with it, because God has such a purpose for my life today that is so different than what I was, the collision course I was on.
Tell us about the Lynda today.
Wow, I'll tell you, I said earlier, I love my life. I truly do. My friends joke and they say, oh, here comes Lynda Whitt. I love Jesus. I love my life. I do. I do. You know, the person that sits here in front of you today is truly the person that I am everywhere I go. In my job, in my meetings, sponsoring other women, going to the crisis center and providing a little inspiration and hope there. My life today is really about staying in today, making I ask God every day to let me be a vessel, whether I see the results or not, because that's not what's important. I want to be able to let people, and I ask God for this, let them hear you and me, let them see you and me. And that's just what I do, I'm Joyce Meyer, I'm huge on her, huge.
Yeah, next time you don't invite me, I'm going to have to
yeah.
have a conversation about that later.
I volunteer for her whenever she's around, and I'm a partner with her. And actually, even at my job, we read a Joyce Meyer book, and then every morning we open up her Power Thoughts devotional, because it's quite appropriate for work. And it's an amazing thing. It just makes such a difference. My life is not anything I ever imagined it would be. Things have turned around. I'm beyond employable. I go to work. I get to go to work. They pay me a little bit of money, and I do what I love. But my passion, and my general manager just said the other day, I don't believe this is your real job. Your real job is what you do outside of here. And they're so supportive. They're so amazingly supportive. They know I'm here today. If I need to go on a retreat, if I do anything with Joyce Meyer, they're like, yep, see you later, bye. And
that's
amazing.
Great.
I'm very, very blessed in every aspect of my life.
So tell me about your daughter. Has she come around? Because I know for a while there she wasn't talking to you. Is that correct?
Right. My daughter pulled out of my life and took my grandchildren, who, since I've been sober, I've had every Friday since I've been sober, like I said, and even before that I had the other ones. Anyway, the 4-year-old baby was, we were all devastated. It was very difficult for me because I didn't know what to do without them. And there was a moment that I said, if this is what sobriety gets me, screw it. I don't want any part of it, because I did this to be with these babies and to have a better life and to make a difference in their life. To not to so much have a second chance because I had messed up with my daughter, but to make a difference, to show them unconditional love and do the things that God would want me to do with them. And she wasn't having it. She told, because I was in AA, I was weak.
Really?
And it was nice that what I did for those AA people, but it won't get you in the kingdom, Mom. My daughter became very judgmental, her and her husband both. And the lifestyle that I was living was not appropriate for her children, she felt.
Really?
So she took them away. And you know what? I chose to, after I recovered from the devastation and I dealt with my grief to the best of my ability, I chose to believe that God would truly give me beauty for all the ashes that surrounded me in that respect. And I believed that there would come a woman in my life, or many, that I would be able to help, because they are walking the same path. It was devastating, but it's all better now that they're back. Life is amazing.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, Lynda, that is all the time that we have for today. Remember that addiction does not just affect the person in addiction, it affects our whole family, our children, their children, and children's children. If you or a relative are suffering with addiction, please go to my website, www.addictionvoicesofhope.com. I would like to thank my sponsor, Quest Recovery and Malone University, and a special thank you to the Phoenix Recovery Services. Until next week, love yourself and smile. You just may save a life by doing that. We'll see you next week. Have an excellent weekend and be blessed. This is Michelle Beyer for Addiction Voices of Hope, here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. Be blessed.